Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back, ballers. Let's get a thumbs up in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. What's up, everybody? We ready? Welcome back, ballers, to another episode. Episode 20, I believe, at this point, since Kodi has jumped on board to Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Kodi. Rambo, Codes, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Kodi, where you at, brother?
Can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Yeah, I
Sounds
can hear you,
good.
Kodi.
Yeah, we got the chat bumping already. Hello to everybody. Really appreciate the comments and the engagements. Someone mentioned something about False Flag Day. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that means, but yeah, tomorrow is well, not 8/8 tomorrow, the date written, but a lot to be said about that. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. For those that don't know, my name is AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can email me at any time at wordplaybook with 3 O's in book at gmail.com for a copy of any of the books I've been writing. I'm also working on a new mini book project, and I'm sure you guys can guess the topic. That has to do with Charlie Kirk and the Year of the Snake. So it's a big project, but I'm excited to be getting it going, and Kodi's been helping me out with it as well. So stay tuned with that, you guys. But without further ado, Kodi, if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick intro of yourself for anybody out there who might not be familiar with you and where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, thanks again, AJ and Rambo, for joining me here and having this stream together. And also thanks to everyone in the chat who's going to come along with us. And if you guys want to find me, you can find me on YouTube, mainly at DeKoding with Kodi, as it says on the screen there. And if you guys want to support the channel, best place to do that is buymeacoffee.com/DeKoding with Kodi. And yeah, so looking forward to another great stream here, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kodi. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Shout out to Joseph Aquaviva in the chat. Joseph, as long as I have your permission as well, there's some content that I've pulled from your videos I've been watching lately with your credit in the book, eventually when I roll it out. So we can talk more about that too. But yeah, that latest video about Erica Kirk loves the game Snake. Of course. Great work, Joseph. But yeah, Rambo, please take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I'd like to say hi back to Sue. You greeted me in the comments section there. I can be found at patreon.com/thetruthcodes and at instagram.com/thetruthcodes. And Patreon is one tier. It's $5 a month, and you have access to the Codebreaker community Discord. There are great decodes by community members there. So it's not just my decodes you get to see.
And speaking of which, Rambo, yeah, appreciate that. I always say every week, you guys, this is the best $5 a month you'll ever spend. That's for all of Rambo's content. $5 a month, not per day. but that includes all of his videos, all of his decodes, all of his notes and posts. Make sure to check it out. Give him a shot.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Rambo, I believe you said you do have a preview of, some of your latest work that's going on. Should
Yeah.
we kick things off there?
Yeah, sure. I do have a preview of a video that I am working on, which should be released soon. But I do have the intro. It's
Okay.
like a 5-minute or so, almost 4-minute and change intro. All right, here we go.
Yeah,
Do you have that?
Yeah, let me remove my screen. Hold on a sec. There we go.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Well, if I had money, I'd tell you what to do. I'd go downtown, buy a Ford truck or two. I'm crazy about a Ford truck. Lord, I'm crazy about a Ford truck. I'm gonna buy me a Ford truck and cruise it up and down the road.
Hurry to your local Southern Quality Ford dealer right now and get 1.9 APR on a 98 F-Series truck. Come see why Ford F-150 is the best-selling pickup in America.
The official truck of J.J. Watt in the Houston, Texas.
Dude, I heard JJ Watt pulled a marlin out of the water with one hand.
It's mind control, bro.
Henry Ford, who founded Ford Motor Company, was a great ally of the Nazi regime and even received the highest German civilian honor, the Grand Cross of the German Eagle, from Adolf Hitler himself. Adolf Hitler also kept a portrait of Henry Ford next to his desk in Aldous Huxley's dystopian, some say predictive, classic, Brave New World, that features a world subjected to authoritarianism. Society is organized on Fordist lines. The years are dated AF, or Anno Ford, in the year of Ford, and the expression "my Ford" is used instead of "my Lord." The Christian cross is replaced with a capital T for Model T.
Fantastic as always, Rambo.
Yeah, thanks. That's the preview. The video should be, say, 35 or so minutes long. I could do it longer, but that's an idea of what it's about. So that 1010 in that, the 910, we know why that was, obviously, September 10th, but 1010 is something that I've been pointing out. It's a definite code on multiple themes or multiple areas. 1010 has been manifesting a lot. Like I showed there, John Wilkes Booth entered Ford's Theater at 1010. So yeah, I'll talk about that 1010 and the Ford symbolism pertaining to Trump, and you'll see how crazy. So this is an MK. I talked about it last week, I believe, how crazy is a reference to MK Ultra mind control. And I do talk about the Church Commission. MK Ultra first came to public attention, the Church Commission, 1975, which just happens to be the year 1975 in which Gerald Ford had 2 assassination attempts. And he was U.S. president in 1975. There were 2 assassination attempts against Gerald Ford. In the same year, 1975, because earlier that year, this was under Gerald Ford's administration that they had the Church Commission hearings by Senator Frank Church. And what does Kirk mean? The name Kirk means church. This is all tied in. That's why we talked about MK Ultra for the first time for the public. Of course, those commissions barely produced much because of how suppressed the information was. There's an investigation of the CIA, NSA, FBI, and IRS. And most of the information was, papers were shredded, so you barely got the truth. And it was Frank Church, Senator Frank Church, who held that. That was in 1975 under the Ford administration. I've seen how Ford is, tied into this. Ford and crazy. Why is crazy always associated with Ford? And I go, there are more associations like that. So it includes MK Ultra, the assassination code, has a lot to do with the presidency. And a lot of that comes from that, so much of that imagery is in the Charlie Kirk narrative as a whole, but specifically that video that Erica Kirk, who was not Kirk at the time, it was Erica France V, 13 years before, the Charlie Kirk shooting. And yeah, that's what the video will be about.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the MK Ultra kind of stuff, I always think about the orange or the bleached hair and the orange hair of the shooter. It was James Egan Holmes, right? The Batman premiere shooting back in 2012.
Yeah, James Egan Holmes. He did the Batman shooting. That was at the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises in Aurora, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he had his hair dyed orange. And then they had the Minnesota church shooting this year, it's August 27th, where the shooter, name was Robin Westman, actually alluded to that shooting on one of his magazines, one of his rifle magazines. He had the names of multiple mass shooters. One of them was Holmes. He had Holmes's name on that, but he also had on one of the magazines the Joker signature from DC Comics. It was ha 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 ha. He had that, and he had that evil Joker laugh, so that he made direct allusions to the Joker and James Egan Holmes specifically in that shooting. And of course, talk about Batman. Donald Trump said, "I am Batman," and Batman just won't go away. I have some other decodes. Later on, I'll talk about my latest Instagram post. I even have that video queued up, but we can do that one later. This is my latest Instagram post because yesterday was Mad Hatter Day from Alice in Wonderland. And Batman, believe it or not, is related to that. Ozzy Osbourne with his bat symbolism. So much is tied in.
Definitely. Yeah. Hey, Kodi, you out there? I know you're on mute. I just want to make sure we can hear you.
Yep, I'm here. I'm listening.
Cool. Was there anything else you wanted to add or chime in?
Well, once I get into my stuff, I mean, the Ford stuff is obviously going to be tied to what I want to talk about with the Lions possibly being in the Super Bowl. Of course, they play at Ford Field, and And it's really, for me, it seems like that would be like the big riddle part with this thing with the lion. I mean, you got a lot of different things I could talk about, but I don't know if we're ready to go into the football thing yet. But like the Ford thing is what really stands out to me with that, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I've been noticing more of the Batman themes too, Rambo, especially from Ricky. So shout out to Ricky if you're watching out there. She's been all over those themes too, shouting you out, where she's like, "Oh my God, he's so right. The Batman stuff is everywhere. Hasn't gone away."
No, of course. Well, you have a president who said, "I am Batman," and this is how you know it's ritually significant, is because it really wasn't a big deal. The media made it Trump's statement. So the way they hyped it in the media on the headlines, you'd think Trump got up on stage and declared, "I am Batman." That's not how it happened.
Right.
They made a child. They told, we know that he's on the helicopter. You know, the helicopter symbolism that's another thing. It's really tied into Trump. That is child. He's like 7 years old or something. They didn't show that, but you can just kind of figure out. Somebody told him to tell Trump, "Are you Batman?" So suddenly Trump is talking to someone, and this little child interrupts him and says, "Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump." Of course, he has to pay attention, and the camera's rolling, and says, "Are you Batman?" Now, what is any adult going to say in that situation? You're not going to say, "Oh, no, I'm not. That's a fictional character. Go away." No, of course, no one's going to tell a kid that. He has to say, "I'm Batman." He's in a situation where you can't say anything else to a young child, a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He had to say it. But when you see the way it's been hyped across the media, you would think that he made this declaration, "I am Batman." And this is done for ritual reasons. There's no reason to make a headline of that. That shouldn't even have been news. He talks to like thousands upon thousands of people here and there, and there's small talk left and right. Like, why was that a headline? It's because of the symbolism. I've done so much on the Batman symbol of the Donald Trump. A lot of it is linked to the tarot, because the bat hangs upside down, and the tarot card, which is the Trump card, major arcana card, the Hanged Man. I mean, from what I noticed, and I'm not a tarot expert, but the Hanged Man imagery is involved in, I mean, of all the tarot cards I see, I mean, maybe it's just what I notice. This one resonates more than any other. I don't know why, but I don't know what it is. It also represents St. Peter's cross, which is the upside down cross, which it does indicate, because St. Peter is said to have been crucified upside down. So the upside down cross is St. Peter's cross. It can have other connotations. It ties into the zodiac, which is the mutable cross. The mutable cross is made up of the mutable signs in the tropical zodiac. It's the Gemini, Sagittarius. They're directly opposite each other. And then Pisces and Virgo, they intersect. That makes those 4 signs make the mutable cross. Because they're the mutable signs. Mutable signs means these signs occur when the seasons are mutating into the next season. And that's what so Donald Trump is part of the mutable cross. Very often when you see this Hanged Man symbolism and Batman symbolism, the principal person involved is from one of these 4 zodiac signs: Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Gemini. Not always, but most of the time. And that is the upside down cross. That's the mutable cross. That's St. Peter's cross. And we know the power of the Vatican, and you can say the Jesuit order. That's a very important symbol to them with the power they have. And that might be why this manifests so often. So typically in the most popularly recognized tarot deck would be the Rider-Waite. The Hanged Man is hanging upside down, but there are older decks that preceded, much older, Italian and the French Marseille. It's a person hanging upside down. It has multiple meanings. By an ankle. So you're hanging upside down by their ankle. And in some modern, these are not like the big popular ones. Now there's so many tarot decks out there, but some of them have a bat for the Hanged Man hanging upside down. And that's one of the reasons they exaggerated Donald Trump's statement that "I am Batman." It has to do with the Hanged Man and the bat. He even had at Trump Tower he had David Blaine, he's a performance artist and a magician, hang upside down to promote an event he did, but it's in Trump Tower. And that's a very vivid picture to see David Blaine hanging upside down next to Donald Trump at a lectern in the lobby of Trump Tower. This is before he said, "I am Batman." But when you understand the bat hangs upside down, and that was a reference to the hangman. Yeah, I could go on and on with the hangman. It ties into football. Patrick Mahomes, he actually celebrated a Super Bowl 58. Patrick Mahomes, who's a Virgo. Again, when you very often, most likely you'll see one of those four signs. Well, Patrick Mahomes, who was born on a day that can be Batman Day, which is September 17th, he celebrated on the field at Super Bowl 58. That was in Las Vegas in 2024. He did a hanged man pose. Like, he had his legs crossed. You know, for this, you'd need the image if you're not familiar. It's an image I've shown many times. I know, AJ, you've seen this multiple times because I've shown it so many times, how Patrick Mahomes did a hanged man celebration. It's a tarot hanged man celebration on the field at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. And no coincidence, one of the things they focused on in that Super Bowl, well, Taylor Swift was just absorbing all the oxygen of the media, and she was there to watch Travis Kelce, of, you know, her boyfriend, on the Chiefs, sitting next to Taylor Swift, who's absorbing all this energy. And what's Taylor Swift? Sagittarius. It's part of the hangman, one of those four signs. Was Ice Spice. Ice Spice was sitting next to her with orange hair, orange dyed hair. You know, so it looks real silly. I've even had black people dyeing their hair orange. Like, then there's more to that. But what is the big story with Ice Spice sitting next to Taylor Swift? She had an upside down cross pendant at that Super Bowl, sitting next to Taylor Swift
with her orange hair, right?
With her orange hair and a black turtleneck, which looked like James Egan Holmes. I could go on and on with these hangman references, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Well, Rambo, you were talking just last week or the week before, it was one of the two, about the assassination attempt, technically in Florida, right? We were talking about how it was at one of Trump's golf outings, right? I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he had the pink shirt on.
Yeah, that's Ryan Wesley Ralph.
Right. And then didn't we touch on how it was reported in the courtroom he tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen?
Yes, at the hearing, which is going on during this Charlie Kirk thing. So you'd think a potential assassin of a former U.S. president at the time and a candidate to be president, that would be a huge deal. That person's trial, you'd think that would be the headline news. It's no one even knew it happened. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I mean, the reason I bring that up with all of the Trump and Batman themes that you've been talking about, not just over the last year or two, but several years with the hangman, going back into 2014, 2015 with David Blaine. But let's not forget that the first Joker movie came out during Trump's first term in office. There was a lot of news out there referring him as the Joker, but then also him having screenings at the White House, etc. Don't forget about the Denver Nuggets just a couple years ago during the Skull and Bones year, where Bruce Wayne's great-great-great-grandfather founded Skull and Bones. But just think about how it was led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And of course, in the first movie, The Joker, the character Murray gets shot, right, by the Joker. You see, the list goes on and on and on. But I did want to shout out Quantum Mania, because they pointed out that in Batman 1989, the Joker stabbed a guy in the neck with a pen outside of a courthouse.
Wow.
I was not aware of that.
I wasn't either. That's amazing.
Yeah. So Quantum, if you know the episode or the name of the episode or the movie, not sure if it's a show or a movie, but Quantum, if you wouldn't mind adding a little more detail to that, that's fascinating.
Yeah, that is amazing. It does tie right into the Ryan Wesley Ralph he's an attempted assassin of Batman. Mm-hmm. So I've done a couple of videos. The title was "The Man Who Killed Batman," which is referring to Trump and the assassination attempts. Mm-hmm. To me, it looks like they seem to be indicating, or it seems to be headed towards another either attempted assassination of Trump, or they'll say it's an actual assassination of Trump. All the symbolism seems to be pointing in that direction.
Okay, it was Quantum says it's the movie with Keaton and Nicholson.
That is amazing because it lines right up. So that's why and this is the thing. He didn't actually Ralph didn't actually grab a pen and then injure himself and repeatedly. And no, they said he was trying to do it. They saw him grab the pen, and as he had his hand cocked back, headed towards his neck, they stopped him. And with that information, that's an amazing contribution. I really appreciate that. It kind of explains why they had Ralph do that. These are archetypes that we can go over, debate, and speculate as to why are they doing these things. Clearly, this is drama. It's a script, and they're following a set of rules and archetypes and images, and why, to what end, we can speculate on that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, let's keep diving into whatever else you had prepared, Rambo. The more, the merrier.
Okay. So I do have another. So this is my latest Instagram post. You can see this on Instagram, but this could tie into some other things. So I did include it here. So what I'll show you here is this is my Instagram post on a little has to do with the NFL yesterday. Yesterday was a special day, and especially considered this is the 106th NFL season.
Mad Hatter Day, October 6th. Today, 10/6, is Mad Hatter Day. That's a reference to the Mad Hatter character from Alice in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter wears 10/6 on a tag on his hat. That's the price tag that Lewis Carroll chose to give the hat. 10 shillings, 6 pence. But Alice in Wonderland and literary enthusiasts have always wondered why he chose that specific price, 10/6. The answer is in gematria, the practice of coding letters and words into numerical values. In Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter hosts an eternal tea party. In gematria's simplest cipher, letters A through Z, or Z, have individual values of 1 through 26 respectively. Tea party has a value of 106. Lewis Carroll employed multiple mystery elements, including gematria. This is why he chose 10/6 for the Mad Hatter's hat price. Ozzy Osbourne's persona was heavily based on the image of madness and the bat. Many of his songs were about mental conditions like crazy train, paranoid. Look at the super match across the 4 base ciphers of English gematria between the Mad Hatter and Ozzy Osbourne. Different ciphers with the same numerical values. And look at the poem that the Mad Hatter recites when Alice encounters him at the tea party. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat. So today, the date of uploading this post, 10/6, is Mad Hatter Day. The Kansas City Chiefs play the Jacksonville Jaguars on Mad Hatter Day, the standalone NFL game on Monday Night Football. The quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, has been coded with Tea Party. Last year, he had a very public and media-hyped birthday party for his daughter. The headline, quote, "Tea-rific." Inside Patrick Mahomes' daughter's Tea for 3 butterfly-themed birthday party. The butterfly is also a related symbol of the mental theme. Could the score at some point of the game suggest an homage to
So that's how it ended. The reason I ended it that way is because when you do these reels, it flips right back to the beginning. So homage to, and then I'll start back with the way I started it, which is Mad Hatter Day. So
no, that's perfect.
But this is the thing. So the way I ended it was, so I did this before. I feverishly, it was Mad Hatter. I couldn't wait till the next day or before the game or after the game to do that video. I really had to get that Instagram post out. So what I speculated, you just heard at the end of that video, is could the score at some point in that game be homage to Mad Hatter Day? And I think the obvious one is 10/6. So after a quarter or at halftime, could the score have been 10-6? Because that's the gematria of Tea Party. Gematria is the reason he chose 10-6 for the Hatter's hat. That is the reason. Tea Party is 106, and that's in the simplest cipher. You don't even have to get exotic with the gematria. That's the reason. Lewis Carroll, I mean, is there anything more symbolic, esoteric than Alice in Wonderland? Do you think he knew gematria? Of course he did. That's the reason. So that's what I was thinking, but it's almost too obvious. I was wondering. So I did that before the game. So I had to really keep track of the game so that if I do see a score that lines up, I've got to screenshot it right away. Because if I wait till the end, you'll just get the final score. I wanted a live score if it lines up with that. Like, and the one I was looking for, which is a little too obvious, I'm not surprised it didn't happen, was 10-6. It was not 10-6, but I did get the score, which I predicted. I said, will they pay homage on Mad Hatter Day with a score? Will there be a score that pays homage to it? Well, there was. So, okay, I have these kind of out of order. So Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was his birthday, 10-06. So you know why he was made to play that.
And he scored 2 touchdowns last night on his 26th birthday, getting his 26th career win. So
yeah. I'm starting to wonder, maybe could he be involved? I mean, we talk about Alice in Wonderland, and I can get more on the Alice in Wonderland stuff. This is the 106th NFL season. So just to make sure, just to be clear. So Alice in Wonderland was written by Lewis Carroll, which is not his real name. He chose that name, and of course he used gematria because they use gematria. Lewis can be spelled several ways, and so can Carroll. It could be spelled with one L. So if you take,
Carroll is a form of Carroll is a form of Charles. Just to reiterate the Charles theme again, just jump in there real fast.
Yeah. So Lewis Carroll. If you take this spell, just make sure it's this spell. Lewis can be spelled in different ways. The halftime score was 14-7. And that's the gematria of Lewis Carroll. So that was the homage. There's also Queen of Hearts and Elizabethan, but this is the main one. So yeah, I can let Kodi jump in now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking about the 147 because that's actually going to connect to my decode because of the football stuff. So it's actually going to fit perfect. The 147 because the Golden Gate Bridge opened on the 147th day of the year. And this is all about the Golden Gate Bridge because the Super Bowl is in San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge is the centerpiece to this. And I'll pull my slides up here so you guys can see because I really wanted to build this to see show people just how perfect this all is with these football players and what we were talking about last week. Again, Rambo, credit to you. You were on the Donnie Darko thing well before all this even went down. And the Donnie Darko thing is going to be a big part of this, of course. Now, before I get to the football thing, I did a video this week where I pretty much broke down exactly how assassination happened and how it's tied to the killing moon. And a lot of you probably saw this, a lot of my subscribers at least. And it's because the killing moon is the bunny that's on the moon. The dark spots on the moon looks like a bunny, right? So, and then remember, a few days before this happened with Kirk, me, Rambo, and AJ were talking about this actor who was born in Detroit. And then Kirk ends up getting shot on this guy's birthday, right? On his 53rd birthday, when moon landing equals 53. So it's connected to the moon landing as well. But in this decode, I really went over, how these guys even have the same gematria. He died on his birthday, the rabbit, right? And this, again, goes back to what Rambo's just talking about. The Alice in Wonderland is all about the rabbit hole. And then what happened, what's really crazy that I thought was super crazy is this. 18 days after the shooting on the Bad Bunny, Frank the Rabbit's birthday, you had Bad Bunny announced as the performer. Well, 18 is the moon card. And I told you this is all connected to the moon, the killing moon, which is the song that opens the Donnie Darko film. And so 18 is the gematria or the moon card, and 18 moon card equals football and Bad Bunny in almost every cipher. So wow. And then just quickly, I showed how the killing moon equals 164. This guy was literally born, the movie he's in, the actor was literally born exactly 164 weeks after the moon landing, which was on the day leaving 164 days in the year. And ritual murder equals 164, like the killing moon. And then 109, this isn't as important right now, but the moon orbits were perfect with all this. The moon rabbit is what they call it, which equals 109. It was exactly 109 moon phases from Kennedy announcing the original announcement of going to the moon to the actual moon landing. Exactly 109 moons.
And Kodi, really
I
quick,
mentioned
shout out to Ray D, just pointing out James Duval. I hadn't thought about that. Jacksonville Jags is in Duval County. Duval.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Duval. I believe I saw a meme or something like this of Duval. I guess that's a thing that they say out in Jacksonville. So thank you for pointing that out, Ray. That's a very interesting addition right there. James Duval and the Jacksonville Jags in Duval County.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to. Well, it's going to tie into what I'm going to talk about with the Colts, because the Colts are in the same division as the Jaguars, or the same. Yeah, they're in the same division. So something going on with that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mentioned that the killing number is the 115 because in two gematria ciphers, killing equals 115. That's very rare that you're going to get 115 in two different ciphers, two different methods. So killing is clearly a number associated with 115. And what do you know? JFK was killed on 115 date numerology, and the moon landing was on 115 date numerology. And the entire lyrics of the Killing Moon song add up to 4663, which breaks down to the 115th prime. Wow. And then I pointed out how the moons, again, JFK was on 115 date numerology and the moon landing, right? But those were exactly 70 moons apart. So if you measure, it's exactly 70 moon phases from JFK to the moon landing, and exactly 70 moon phases after that was the release of Frankie Valli was on the top of the charts with the song "My Eyes Adored You," which is equals 70. So this isn't important what I'm going to talk about, but and then this, so I found out. And this goes back to what me and Rambo were talking about last week when the stream went off air. We were talking about the upset from the Turkish team exactly 131 days before the Super Bowl, which Super Bowl equals 131. And I had found out that the founding date of that team to the Golden Gate Bridge was 11524 days. Well, 11524 is the election day last year. And then 11524 is exactly how old Bad Bunny was when he was selected as a Super Bowl performer. And on top of that, he was it was only 2 days after he was selected that this team was winning. So I don't know if Rambo has anything to add while we're on this, because he was the one that brought this up and that really opened this up to be found. So
Rambo might have stepped aside for a moment.
Can anyone hear me?
Oh, I sorry, I was on mute. I do what Kodi usually does.
Oh.
You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, I
can
was
hear
on mute. I'd muted the mic. Yeah, so Kodi mentioned that Donnie Darko opens with the song The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. And the way Liverpool Football Club ties into this is that Echo and the Bunnymen are from Liverpool. They're from the city of Liverpool in England, which I've made other allusions to Echo and the Bunnymen and connected to Liverpool before, but that's the big connection of why that game might be relevant. It's not a stretch. Echo and the Bunnymen are from Liverpool. That's the connection there.
Mm-hmm. That's something I forgot. I knew that, but I always forgetting to mention that. And then that's why it started. And then I still can't believe this. This is one of my favorite finds ever, probably. Like, if you go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kodi. I know, because this slide is really important. I don't want to get you off.
No, I'm just saying that because we found out that the 115 is the killing number, I decided to go from the last day of moon lunation 115. You guys don't know what a moon lunation is? They started counting every new moon in 1923. These numbers are way overlooked by everyone. Me and Derek have been on this for a while. These are super legit. And this right here just proves it. Because if you go from the last day of moon lunation 115 to the assassination of JFK on 115 date numerology, it's 11524 days, which is the exact age that Bad Bunny was when he was selected. And look at the date numerology of this last day of 115. It was 60. And Trump won the 60th election on 11524. This is one of the most, I'm telling you, if you guys wrap your heads around this is one of the most mind-blowing slides that I've ever seen. Considering this all came from the original find that we had last week at the end of the show, that this team was founded that same amount of days before the Golden Gate Bridge opened, or the construction ended, which is perfect because Bad Bunny is going to be performing in this city, which the bridge is on the logo. So, and then this is just a little extra thing that connects all this, but O.J. Simpson, who was from San Francisco, if you go back from the Super Bowl, that same amount of days, because we figured out that this date span is obviously important. But if you go back from the Super Bowl next year to this amount of days, you land on O.J. Simpson pleading not guilty for a killing, and he's from San Francisco. And look at this, going back to the O's. Look at the day that he pleaded not guilty, July 22nd, 227 again, and his name is O.J. So again. And he's from San Francisco. That's the big key here. He's from San Francisco. And you go back from the San Francisco Super Bowl, you land on this same numerology, or the same date duration that I found 3 different times now. And then you can see that, they actually found the bodies of Nicole Brown is connected to the moon as well, because Brown lunation is how you count the moons. The guy who invented the moon lunation count, his name is Brown. So this ties to Doc Brown. Doc Brown is in the thing. He's totally a moon riddle. Oh, here it is. So OJ killed Nicole Brown, and the guy who invented the moon lunation number that I just revealed to you, his name was Ernest Brown. And look at when he died, July 22nd. And when did OJ plead not guilty to the killing? On July 22nd. And again, he created Brown lunations. And then the rest of the stuff isn't important right now, but I wanted to point out the important piece I want to get to, because I want to go back and forth with RAMBO a bit on this, is that, so this team, we found out that 131 days before the Super Bowl, this team in soccer, they upset Liverpool, which again, the band that made the song The Killing Moon was from Liverpool. And so this is how we got to the conclusion that this connects to this team. Well, now I'm going to make the add-on additions to this and show you kind of what I think might play out. Now, this is nothing is ever 100%, but I'm just going to show you why I think this is about a perfect riddle. And this one blew my mind as well. So these are all the main characters here, because we had the Charlie Kirk thing, which he died on this guy's birthday, right? The bunny. And then we have Bad Bunny, and then we have Detroit, right? Why Detroit? Because this is Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He not only plays in Detroit, like this actor was born in Detroit, he plays in Ford Field. Well, Ford, what did RAMBO just talk about? Ford, which is the assassination code. But here's where I think these 3 characters are super connected to the Golden Gate Bridge, because Kirk was born 147 days before Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was born 218 days before Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Lions. That means the date that's encoded in these 3 characters is the date of the Golden Gate Bridge. which opened on the 147th day of the year, which leaves 218 remaining. So they coded these three characters to point to the bridge. That's what I'm seeing clearly. Now, this is where it gets mind-blowing, because now that we know that Goff is involved in this, the quarterback for the Lions, I decided to measure from Bad Bunny or the James Duvall. Again, he's born in Detroit, guys, this actor. And I measured from his birth to the Detroit Lions quarterback's birth, and it was exactly the 10-14 prime days. I mean, what are the odds of that? I mean, just think about that. That's the date. That's the most important date, because Jared Goff is going to turn 31 on that date, which is going to would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd. There's 32 teams in the NFL. And 31 of them lose. Think about that. All right. There's 32 teams in the NFL. Only one wins. That means 31 of them do not win. So Goff's going to turn 31 on Kirk's birthday, and where Kirk would turn 32. So that's symbolizing that one team will win the Super Bowl and the other 31 will not. Okay. That's clear. I don't think that's just so perfect considering the NFL riddle. And then you have this riddle going with this guy who, again, Kirk died on his birthday. And then you go from that and you get the birthday of both Kirk and Goff.
Kodi, really quick, what was the 8,000 number again, really quick?
That's the 1014 prime number. That's the 1000. That's the amount of days between James Duvall, the actor who played the rabbit, to Goff. That's the amount of days.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right.
And that's the 1014 prime number. So that's Jared Goff's birth is coded in between him and this actor. That's improbable.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
And again,
I assumed it was the date duration. I just didn't see the screenshot of it from the calculator, so that's why I just want to make sure.
Yeah. That's I didn't have time to put the actual measurement in there. I was being fast at it, so I didn't. But I was just wanting to show that that's the amount of days in between the two, and that breaks down to the birthday of the guy I'm measuring to.
Yeah,
which is just wild.
No, seriously.
So then it gets even crazier, because I've been on the Daniel Jones thing since the beginning of the year, because the Colts, they lost their owner last year, Jim Irsay. And they started out the season the best team. In fact, they're now ranked the best team in the league right now, according to stats, the Colts. And I was a Colts fan growing up, so I always watched the Colts a bit harder than I watch any other team. Well, look at this. Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Colts, is born exactly 60 years after the Golden Gate Bridge opened. And what Super Bowl are we going to be having this year in San Francisco, Santa Clara? Super Bowl 60. On top of that, what's the chances that Daniel Jones' full name matches the Golden Gate Bridge? So not only is he born 60 years after, to go with the 60th Super Bowl, he actually has the same gematria. Now, where it gets even wild, so then I was like, okay, now that I know these two pieces, I was like, okay, let me find out if there's a connection between Jared Goff and Daniel Jones. Well, look at this. Jared Goff was born exactly 957 days before Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones' full name equals 957. On top of that, the reverse of that is 759. The reverse of that number. Look at Jared Goff's name in Latin, 759. And look at how his name matches Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco. That's improbable. And that's the reverse of the days between these two. 957, 759. Same numbers, just reversed. And Daniel Jones even has the reverse of that, 957. And that's the amount of days between them. And then just to more solidify that Goff was obviously tied to this, because Goff and he was inspired to wear the number. So there's your San Francisco connection. But Bad Bunny was announced to be the Super Bowl performer.
Did you get that lag as well, Rambo?
Yeah, you cut out for very briefly.
Yeah, Kodi, would you mind just? I think we lost you for like 5 seconds. Would you mind just hitting your last point?
Okay, so Jared Goff wears the number 16 in tribute to Joe Montana, who played for San Francisco. So there's your Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco connection with him. But on top of that, the Super Bowl performer Bad Bunny was announced exactly 16 days before Goff's birthday. And Kirk's birthday, of course. So that's perfect too. That was like really solidified it for me. Like, wow, they did that exactly 16 days before Goff's birthday. And now remember, the whole decode I did this week about the moon, the killing moon from the Donnie Darko, right? Well, so this is all about the eights. The Golden Gate Bridge opened on 88 numerology. So 5 plus 27 plus 19 plus 37, 88. Bad Bunny was born when the moon was in lunation 880. And exactly eight moons later, moon orbits, Jared Goff was born in lunation 888. And look at his name, Jared Thomas Goff, 888. Jared Thomas Goff, 888, born in lunation 8. This proves that the lunation is obviously important. Everyone should be looking at these all the time. Whenever you're running a date.
Too. She just mentioned that Goff Street is a main street in San Francisco. It's just spelled.
Oh, really? Wow.
Gough. I think kind of like it makes me think of like Van Gogh, but apparently it's pronounced Goff. So should probably look into that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a great addition. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, Goff born exactly 8 orbits of the moon after Bad Bunny. The killing moon is connected to the rabbit from Donnie Darko. So it's the 8s everywhere. And the fact that his name equals 888, like time traveler. So this is why I think it ties to Back to the Future, because Donnie Darko and Back to the Future are intimately connected. Time traveler equals 888. Donald J. Trump equals 888 in the same cipher as Jared Thomas Goff. So there's your time traveler theme. And just to solidify this connection is Daniel Jones actually has a perfect moon connection to both Bad Bunny and Jared Goff, because if you measure in moon orbits, right, which is the full rotation of the moon around the Earth, supposedly, they both land on exact moon orbits. So not any extra days, exactly. So Goff was born exactly 35 moon orbits before Jones, and Bad Bunny was born exactly 43 before Jones. Out of all the people I measured to, Goff has the best connection with the moon to Daniel Jones. And so does Bad Bunny, because no one else I measured. I mean, there's probably other people I could check, but I did go through all the prominent teams that have a chance of making it to the Super Bowl at this point. I obviously eliminated some that I think is improbable that they will even make it. And just to go, if you guys are if Rambo's a bit unsure about the Colts, I want to remind you, Rambo, you've been talking about the circle. And you know what the nickname is of Indianapolis, right?
No, what's the nickname?
Circle City.
Kodi,
Circle City is.
If I can add something in there too, I know we actually talked about this a couple episodes ago, talking briefly about Dan Jones, right? He's also nicknamed Indiana Jones now, right?
Yep.
It makes me think of who plays Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, and it goes back to Rambo stuff lately about Ford.
Yeah, great connection.
That's a perfect one.
Yeah, that's a
perfect one, AJ.
Yeah.
That brings it all together. I'm talking about the guy who plays in Ford Field and now Daniel Jones, and now we have this Ford Daniel Jones connection. Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect. And
So,
again, at the beginning of the year,
Jones,
if anyone.
Go ahead. No, that's okay.
I'm just saying, at the beginning of the year, if anyone would have said the Colts were going to make, because this is why I think they did this. The NFL is very good at making a team seem like it's going to be bad, and then all of a sudden they have a great year out of nowhere, and they become good all of a sudden. I've seen that so many times. Well, this year, Anthony Richardson was the original starting quarterback for the Colts. He was their high draft pick. And then he didn't go well for the first few years, and then they brought in Daniel Jones, and they thought Anthony Richardson was going to battle with him for the starting job. And then Daniel Jones won it out of nowhere, and everyone hated it. You should have seen the day they announced Daniel Jones was going to be the starting quarterback over Anthony Richardson. All the Colts were like going to boycott the Colts. They were hating it. And then what happens? Just to get their energy, just to build someone's energy up and then flip it on them, Daniel Jones ends up coming out and not even his team didn't even punt for the first 3.5 or almost 2.5 games of the season, which is remarkable. It's a record. They didn't even punt. So Daniel Jones goes from being this nobody to everyone thinks he's just a whack. Now he's like, can't even not score. He scores almost every time he's on the field. So, and then it's obviously perfect that they moved him to Indiana when you know that they're setting up that riddle, Indiana Jones. I mean, and another connection here that is worth pointing out is the backup quarterback for the 49ers, where the Super Bowl is going to be. What's his name this year? Mac Jones. And what's Mac Jones doing this year? Well, he's having a great year too. So that might even be a clue as well, that the backup quarterback for the 49ers, where the Super Bowl is going to be, his name is Jones, and he's having a great year in replacement for Brock Purdy. Is that a clue for Daniel Jones? Or maybe the 49ers get there somehow, but the Lions have a stronger riddle, in my opinion. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But that all stems from what Rambo found the last weeks and what we were talking about on last week's stream. And there might be more I forgot, but that's the gist.
Yeah, the Harrison Ford thing kind of intrigues me. I see that his birthday is July 13th.
It's Trump's shooting day.
Yeah, the same day as Trump's shooting last year in 2024. He was born in 42. He's from Chicago. So you can't really seem to get away from Chicago these days, especially with Charlie Kirk, you know?
Well, and that's the other thing too, is think about the Lions being in the Super Bowl this year, and considering we just got the Pope Leo, like, isn't that just perfect?
Well, like, and right before that, right, we had the release date of that movie Mufasa, right after James Earl Jones died, who played the voice originally for Mufasa, you know. And the Lions actually had a great season last year, which came up just short. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like those Lion themes have been kind of lurking around for a while, pun intended, almost taking us back to almost Tiger King in a way.
Well,
so there's also
another thing that's. Go ahead, Rambo.
No, there's also the sun god theme.
Oh yes,
we talked about Mithras. So this whole trend of neck injuries. You had the incident in Charlotte. I see that that Colts quarterback is from Charlotte. He was born in Charlotte, but you had that incident in Charlotte where they said the man stabbed the Ukrainian girl in the neck, and this, Charlie Kirk shot in the neck, and then Ryan Wesley Ralph tries to stab himself in the neck with a pencil. How this goes back to, so when I talk about the circle, I'm talking about the cycle. Kirk has the same etymological root as circle. Kirk, Cirque. It's in the video too. They arrive in Vegas. There's the big O. It's Cirque du Soleil. It's the sun cycle. The sun it's born at the equinox, its highest point at the summer solstice. It dies at the autumnal equinox. That's why so much of this stuff is happening at the autumnal equinox, is to indicate the solar cycle. George Floyd, that was a solar ritual. They said it took 8 minutes 47 seconds for him to die. That's because the sun set at 8:47 in Minneapolis on that day. It's a sun cycle. Then it's the winter solstice, the sun at its lower point. And Mithras is a sun god. He's not the supreme sun being. That would be Sol Invictus. But Mithras is a sun god. He's typically depicted looking at the supreme solar deity, although he is also a solar deity, but he's stabbing the bull in the neck. So that's what goes with this cycle symbol. It's the sun cycle, and it's Mithraism. And a solar deity from ancient Egypt is Ra. And that's after whom Amon-Ra St. Brown is named. So, and of course, he plays for the Lions. The Lions is Leo. Leo's ruled by the sun. So Amon-Ra would fit the symbolism that's been going around. The cycle, and the sun cycle, and Mithraism, and Mithra stabbing the bull in the neck. So the sun god there is would fit in,
especially too because Amun-Ra wears number 14, right? We're just in the time of Pope Leo the 14th, right?
Yeah, and saying so Osiris's body was cut into 14 pieces.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and Osiris, Horus is the resurrected Osiris, more or less. Yeah. So yeah, that does. Yeah, that's part of that too. Yeah. It's also related to the moon though too as well. So the average moon cycle is 28. We talked about that Detroit player with the bleeding eye. He wore 28, and 28's a big part of 28 days stretch. That's the duration of for the plot of Donnie Darko. And so to go from new moon to full moon, and vice versa from full moon down to new moon is on average about 14 days. So 14 is also a moon cycle number. And think of the Detroit Lions colors. Although they're the lion figure, they have moon colors. It's blue and silver. Those are moon colors. So very heavy moon symbols.
That goes with the player Amun-Ra St. Brown. Well, I just showed you guys the name that's very associated with the moon. The guy who created the lunar counts, his name is Brown. So the guy's name might actually have not only the Amun-Ra, the sun, but his last name might represent the moon. So his name represents the eclipse, probably the sun and the moon, the coming together of the sun and the moon, which creates, a ring or a circle, right? One circle, two circles becoming one circle. And so that guy's name, Amun-Ra St. Brown, with the guy who created the moons being Ernest Brown, who died. That's another thing. Remember, Rambo, Ernest Brown died on 7/22. And he was from Connecticut. Well, let me show you this slide, because this shows you that Doc Brown look at this. So look at Ernest Brown, the guy who created the moon cycles, or the lunation number, and he died 7/22 in 1938. Well, exactly 3 months later, Mr. Doc Brown on 10/22. So exactly 3 months. His name in the movie is E. Brown, Emmett Brown. The guy who died is Ernest Brown, E. Brown. They both he died in Connecticut. He was born in Connecticut. And then if you go from the very first moon lunation on January 17th, 1923, that was the first one. It's exactly 57 days to the birth of Doc Brown. And Doc Brown, why is 57 so important? Because moon, 57. And the moon has a maximum range of declination of 57 degrees, roughly. So 57 exactly. That's a huge moon number. Eclipse in Hebrew equals 57. So again, the coming together of the sun and the moon. And it's the eclipse code with the sun and the moon. And I think that's what that Amun-Ra St. Brown represents, the sun and the moon. Which is interesting because if the Colts and Lions were to make it, I showed you guys that another interesting thing with the gematria is that the Colts and the Lions both have the same gematria in 3 out of 4 ciphers. So that's also interesting, just if you think about it. And it's 69, and the 69 reminds me of the yin yang, which makes the circle. And 30 years. So the 30 here with both teams, 30 years is the 360 months, right? So that's like a circle as well.
The other thing too, sorry, go ahead, Coach.
I was just going to say one last thing. With Daniel Jones, he has that 108, right? And that's a big number. So you see how Daniel Jones equals 108? But if you go to the Latin cipher, he equals 864. Now, anyone who knows anything about the sun knows that that's a sun number. The sun has that 864. The actual sun, they say, is 864 diameter. And he has the 108, right? So the Super Bowl is going to be exactly 108 days before his birthday. So he has the sun code, and he has the perfect amount of days before the Super Bowl, which features the Golden Gate Bridge, which also connects to the sun, right? Gold, the sun. And Rambo, remind me, with the Golden Gate and the Silver Gate, this is probably what this really all connects to, is the Golden Gate and Silver Gate. That's where I think this is really all connecting with, is because souls leave the plane through the Golden or the Silver Gate, right? Or I always get this mixed.
Yeah, so the Golden Gate is also, it's also called the Gateway of God. It's also called the Gateway of Immortality. That's going from the mortal plane, which is the physical plane, to the spirit plane. That's the Golden Gate. So think of it as you're going to a higher level. The spirit plane is at a higher level. It's multidimensional. This is a finite temporary plane. So that's the Golden Gate. So to come down here, which is you actually go into a lower dimension, that's the Silver Gate.
You can think like
that's
second
why I'm
place
thinking,
like silver.
That's why I'm thinking Daniel Jones having that 108, right? That 108 is represented in many cultures as, spiritual number, like a wholeness, So I mean, that's super, super interesting to me, this 108 connection with Daniel Jones, and the fact that he has this 864, which again, I just show it, but 864 and the sun, I can't remember if it's the diameter. Yeah, they say it's about 864, in diameter. And thank you to Casey Jones for pointing that out to me. Casey Jones Astrology. As soon as I talked to him about Daniel Jones, he mentioned that Daniel Jones had that 864, so I'm wondering how this actually might connect if that ends up being the matchup. But again, to everyone watching, this is not me saying it's 100% this is going to happen, because we know how it can be. You can get riddles for all kinds of things, but this seems like a very, in my opinion, based off the events that we've already had this year, and what Rambo has told me, and don't forget, the reason Rambo originally told me the Lions is because the team that upset 131 days before the Super Bowl, their name was the Lions. So that's just another clue on top of it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only other thing I was going to add was just essentially just keeping in mind that next year is the Chinese New Year of the fire horse, right? And the sun and fire, have some pretty direct symbolic connections, but then also the horse symbolism. I mean, technically not so much with the Lions, obviously, but with the Colts, right? So the Colts could find themselves there, and the Broncos are still, having a season, so we'll see.
Yeah, so with the Colts and Broncos, we know what the imagery is there. It's the horse, the patron of horses in mythology, Greco-Roman. Greece called him Poseidon. Rome called him Neptune. That's more or less the same deity. That is the patron of horses. That is whose symbol is the trident. Of course, Peyton Manning, those are the two teams Peyton Manning played for. But so the patron of horses is Neptune. The tarot card that represents, each planet is represented by a tarot card. The tarot card that represents Neptune is the Hanged Man. And remember what I said about the Hanged Man. It's those 4 zodiac signs. It is Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. When you see the Hanged Man, more often than not, the principal character involved will be from one of those 4 zodiac signs. And this quarterback, Daniel Jones, he's born May 27th, is a Gemini. And he plays for the Neptune team. Neptune is the Hanged Man, because that card represents Neptune. And Neptune is the patron of horses. So I can see why they put him on that team. So when we're talking about the bat, and the Hangman is the bat. So this does tie into that. And also, it's also Silver Gate, Golden Gate. So they're, with each cross, this is the mutable cross. On the mutable cross, the Silver Gate is Gemini. And Sagittarius, which is directly opposite Gemini, is the Golden Gate. In fact, Sagittarius in general is considered the Golden Gate. It's It's the point between Earth and the center of the galaxy. The point around which the galaxy rotates. It's you have to go through Sagittarius. So Sagittarius in general is the Golden Gate. Gemini is the Silver Gate. So you have that Silver Gate, Golden Gate thing going with. I think that does fit in with the symbolism of the horse, and at least the Colts. And remember, in Back to the Future, you had Neptune there, holding the trident at the Under the Sea dance, where Marty McFly played the Gibson guitar. And of course, Gibson's guitar is now 131 years old. So, yeah, so that's another way in which. Thank you for the Tawanya Hooray. Thank you. That's another way. In
AJ, can you?
Someone is saying I got it reversed, but what did I get reversed? I don't. I mean, I don't mind. I just like them to expound on that. I said that Gemini is the Silver Gate, Sagittarius is the Golden Gate. I'm not sure what they're referring to. I mean, I don't mind them if they can correct me. That's fine. If they could respond, I don't know what they're referring to. But
said Golden Gate is 8 Gemini. I'm not sure what that means.
I think he's saying that Gemini is a Golden Gate, but no, it's a Sagittarius. So I'm pretty sure it's Sagittarius. So with each cross, that's the mutable cross. There are 3 crosses. The mutable cross is the upside down cross, which is St. Peter's cross. You also have the fixed cross, which is the X. That's what the papal keys. You have a golden key and a silver key and an X. That's the fixed cross. So the fixed cross is the fixed signs, which happen in the middle of the season. There, the Silver Gate is Taurus. The Golden Gate is Scorpio. And then you have the cardinal cross, which is the plus sign. The Silver Gate there is Cancer. Cancer, very Silver Gate, very watery. Moon, Cancer is ruled by the moon. That's the Silver Gate. The moon is silver. And the Golden Gate there is Capricorn.
Kodi, did you say something earlier? Were you looking to take the screen?
Yeah. So there's a few things I gotta hit on here. So somebody in the chat had said,
yeah.
Somebody in the chat had said something about the OJ thing again, and I really wanted to hit on this because you know how I showed you that OJ he died or he pleaded not guilty to the killing on the death date of the guy Brown who created the Moon Lunation. Well, and remember how I said if you go back from the Super Bowl this year, it's the 11524 days, which is the same amount of days between that team and the Golden Gate Bridge and all the same date duration. Well, somebody mentioned something that I totally forgot to even think about. OJ is famous for the Bronco, the Ford Bronco. So him lining up perfectly like with him pleading not guilty, right? He pleaded not guilty exactly 11524 days, which was the same day duration. That's how old Bad Bunny was when he was announced for the Super Bowl. So that's just another addition on top of what we were talking about earlier with the Broncos and then the Ford. So, could it be the Broncos versus the Lions? Maybe. Maybe the Colts are. Because what happened? Okay, so something I did notice with the horse theme, for instance, the Colts already played the Broncos this year, and the Colts won miraculously after their kicker missed a field goal, and then the penalty was called on a player for jumping on the center, and basically the referees gave their kicker another shot. So it was like super rigged. It seemed super rigged, right? So the Broncos lost to the Colts on the referee, the referees giving them the loss. So I'm wondering maybe if the Colts and the Broncos meet again in the playoffs somehow, maybe the Broncos get their revenge and then the Broncos make it to the Super Bowl. That could be a narrative to think about. Because I always noticed that ever since I was a kid, even before I knew anything about rigs or gematria, I always man, these scripts are just too perfect. I was picking up on this years before I even knew about any of this. Just like when Peyton Manning, so many years he couldn't beat Tom Brady, and then one year in 2006, he came back from like what 24 something points down in the second half to win. And but I just felt like they were going to rig it like that. Even then, I felt like that. So it seems like they always do this give and take thing with these sports. They always have a one team win once, and then the next time the other team gets their revenge, or there's a comeback or something like that. So just throwing that out there with the OJ thing.
Yeah, I do talk about OJ Simpson in my video, because the song She's My Kind of Crazy was actually released on his birthday on July 9th. And
yeah.
So OJ is also
go ahead. Was released on July 22nd.
That was I talked about that last week. 227, part of the circle symbols. Yeah, I talked about that last week. And also they did the and I also showed you. Remember last week I showed you how they changed the date. They changed the upload date. It was 227. They changed it to 23/7, which is just a recent change. It has always been 227. All of a sudden they changed it. But also the behind the scenes video that they did about the zip line part of the video was 2 minutes and 27 seconds. But I do talk about OJ Simpson. So the song itself was released on OJ Simpson's birthday, and how OJ ties into Charlie Kirk, the neck injury, the Nicole Brown Simpson murder. She was stabbed in the neck. This she received 7 stab wounds to the neck. And 7 is the number of the Chariot tarot card. The Chariot tarot card represents Cancer, which is OJ Simpson's zodiac sign. But in the tropical zodiac, the star Sirius is in Cancer in the tropical zodiac. And Sirius chases the rabbit. That's the constellation of Lepus. So Sirius, which is the dog star, is the dog of Orion, which is chasing Lepus the rabbit in an eternal chase, to get back to the rabbit theme and how it ties in with all of this. So yeah, I do talk about OJ and the Ford.
AJ.
Yo.
AJ, there's a commenter in the chat that says 7-1. He's another great channel to follow, by the way. He pointed out Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman. Brown, the moon, Goldman, the sun. So moon and sun.
Yeah, I posted something from, I think it was Brandon Joseph, that just mentioned like Goldman, right? So just made me think of that gold theme as well. But yeah, that's...
And with the gold rush being super tied to San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And remember, I pointed out in one of my earlier videos about Charlotte. Remember, Daniel Jones is from Charlotte. And Charlotte is Charlie, right? Charles. It's a feminine form of Charles. But Charlotte was actually the first North Carolina, Charlotte area was actually the first gold rush in the United States. So this is where I think the gold rush thing actually comes into play with if you look into it, the first gold mint, one of the first gold mints or first gold rushes was in North Carolina. And one of the first gold mints was in Charlotte. That's
why their mascot, right? The mascot of that school that we were decoding like 2 weeks ago. They're the 49ers. We were like, why is this UNC team the 49ers? And sure enough, yeah.
Yep. And that them being the 49ers and having the gold theme, that's why Charlotte is so, that's also why I was on Daniel Jones so much, because he's from that perfect city. And I remember, as Rambo mentioned, this whole thing, all this Charlotte stuff started in Charlotte, where Daniel Jones is born. And that's kind of where I really started getting onto that. And then, you know, he played for Duke too, which is also in one of the Carolinas, isn't it?
Yeah, and shout out Mr. S, just pointing out that Charlotte was last in San Francisco, or was last in a Super Bowl when it was held in San Francisco. That was
that's right, the Panthers.
Yep, with Cam Newton
and the Broncos.
And the Broncos. Yep. So.
Which Rambo has talked about. Rambo once
back to the Future quoted that Super Bowl. Even told you who would win. Even told you who would be the MVP.
Right,
Miller. So Miller's interesting. I've done a bunch of stuff on Miller. In the movie Snake Eyes, you notice in the boxing ring, it was full of Miller ads.
Oh, yeah.
Like Miller was a big part of Snake Eyes as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed
so
that in the
you-
first
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah,
So that's
Miller's
why
a
the
thing,
Colts
too.
coach, is born in 1985 on 5/11, which I know that was the date that you talked about
Yeah.
with Miller.
Yeah,
You
it could
talked
be-
about
yeah,
5/11, isn't that?
Yeah.
That's the birthday of like Brad Marchand too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his birthday. Yeah, that was Marchand's birthday. Yes.
Yeah. So the Colts coach born in 85 to go with the Back to the Future riddle, and born on that 5/11 date. So I thought that's also interesting.
Yeah. So Frederick Miller, whose original name is Muller, there's a German connection here too. He was born on that date. And I was saying he has a striking resemblance to Guy Fawkes. Of course, there's no photographs of Guy Fawkes, but all the images they show of Guy Fawkes looks just like Frederick Miller. So he has these uncanny connections. Frederick Miller has uncanny connections to Guy Fawkes. In fact, I even showed a Miller commercial from back in the day, a Miller blimp flying over, just gliding over Westminster Palace, the British Parliament. Well, that's where Guy Fawkes had the gunpowder plot incident. He was going to blow up the Houses of Lords, supposedly the House of Lords. Why would so even Miller made that connection? Why is our Miller blimp gliding over the Houses of Parliament of all places? So yeah, this is just some interesting fascination connections between Guy Fawkes and Frederick Miller, who's from Germany. Milwaukee in gematria is 131 as well. I would suggest Frederick Miller was some kind of time traveler, but the connections were fascinating. And that was the time travel and 115 connection that I was making there.
And I don't mean to kind of bounce all over the place here, but to add one more thing about the whole OJ orange juice, calling him the juice nickname, things like that. Not sure if you guys saw this recently in the news. I don't even know if I can say the word now, but the juice box emoji has been just over the last week. Apparently, why is TikTok censoring this emoji? Coded hate with the emoji. I just think that's kind of interesting that out of nowhere, this particular emoji is now in the hot seat in light with everything you were just talking about, Kodi, with OJ Simpson and whatnot. So I just want to throw that in there really quick.
Yeah, I had no idea about this emoji. I'm just reading it now. I didn't know that it was considered like a euphemism. I had no idea. I'm just learning it now by reading it.
Yeah. Well, it is now, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does put the OJ Simpson thing. That was his nickname.
Right. Yeah. So just some more food for thought.
So also there's a German theme
Owens.
as well with Ford. I showed you in my intro too. I'll go more into it in the video. The connections of Henry Ford was greatly admired by Adolf Hitler. It's not a stretch, the Nazi thing. We just had the inauguration of a United States president. You had Elon Musk do a full-on Nazi salute. Like sometimes these things are subtle. You click a picture because someone's hand is raised. It looks like a Nazi salute, but yeah, if you freeze frame at the right moment, it looks like it. No, this was full on. You call it a Roman salute. Well, Nazis were the new Rome. Rome were the new Babylon. So that's what we're this is a time when you can just do a full Nazi salute at a presidential inauguration. And right after that, Elon Musk he made a speech to some German right-wing parties and said that you should stop apologizing for the Holocaust. So it's the image. That's the imagery they're putting out now. But Ford is very connected to that. Adolf Hitler had a picture of Henry Ford near his desk. So there, and you pointed out the Michigan running back. His name is Hiter, Hiter. I learned that from you, AJ. So they signed. He's like the top #1 rated running back in the United States. So
and he debuted in Germany. They took him to Germany for his college debut. It's like,
and his name is Hiter.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Also, the New York Yankees. Also, one of my patrons. I wasn't paying attention to the playoffs. The Yankees have a player named. I think his name is Stittler.
Really?
Because I learned that from my patrons because they're saying that sounds like the type of thing you'd come up with if you don't want to say Hitler.
Sure.
It's like a euphemism for Hitler, like Stittler. There's a player named Stittler. I mean, so a lot of this is going on. And I've also mentioned how 119 is a huge Nazi code, which originates in Babylon, has to do with the destruction of the temple of Solomon on the 9th day of the 11th month. That's why Babylon did that in the first temple. Rome picked the 9th, the 11-9 or 9-11 to destroy the second temple. And then the Nazis are the new Rome. So they picked that date for the beer hall push, which is 1923, the coup attempt on the German government. They chose 9th day of the 11th month to do Kristallnacht, which is considered the start of the Holocaust. And then the Berlin Wall came down on the 9th day of the 11th month. So it's a Nazi code. And the Berlin Wall, we're saying, well, that's well after the Nazis were gone. The Nazis are not gone. They did not lose World War II. There's plenty to indicate that. Germany lost World War II. The Nazis did not lose World War II. They're still around. And they code their existence. 119 is a huge code for them. So when you have the World Trade Center, and the middle building is called the Salomon Brothers building with twin pillars, Solomon twin pillars, like what that's alluding to. Well, when was that destroyed? It was destroyed on 9/11 twice. So no wonder twin pillars with a middle pillar Salomon Brothers building came down on 9/11. So who do you think did that? They aren't gone. So the NFL has done this as well. On November 9th, clear Nazi code. Where is the NFL hosting a game? In Berlin, Germany, on November 9th. It's not subtle. I've also shown how the badges for ICE, it's 9 rays and 11 stars. They've actually indicated that in the ICE badges. 9/11 is coded in the ICE badges. Look at the ICE badge. 9 rays, 11 stars. That's a Nazi code. Because we're kind of getting off the topic somewhat, but so there is a German theme. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's actually German as well. His mother's German. So not that Germany necessarily indicates Nazi, but he just happens to play for Detroit, which is at Ford Field, and we know who Henry Ford was admired by, Adolf Hitler. In fact, Ford had a plant in Cologne, Germany. At the time, the Jeep, so the first SUV off-road vehicle was made by Ford. And you can understand why in a war, that's a really valuable thing to have, is an off-road vehicle. There were no off-road vehicles. Ford manufactured off-road vehicles, the very first off-road vehicles, which were called Jeeps at the time. It wasn't a brand name. For the Nazi regime, they had a plant in Cologne, Germany, during the war, making off-road vehicles for the Nazis in Germany. And it gets more extreme than that, because there was an agreement with Ford Motor Company and the US government. The Allies could not bomb Henry Ford's plant in Cologne, Germany. This is during the war. Henry Ford is making Jeeps for the Nazis against the Allies. This is history. This is who the Fords are. The Truth Goes is not sponsored by Ford, that's for sure. And Ford isn't going to be sponsoring me anytime. It's the Truth Codes. I'm not making this up. The Allies, some Allied bombing actually did damage Ford's manufacturing plant in Cologne, Germany. Ford successfully sued the United States government for damaging its plant through aerial bombs in Cologne, Germany. Its plant that is making vehicles for the Nazis. And there was an agreement. There was a contract between the government. The government actually damaged the plant. U.S. government had to pay Ford restitution for damaging his plant. Like, sorry, you're trying to help the Nazis. We apologize. I'm sorry. That's history. So Ford does not have a pretty, but I'm saying that it's important that when you see Elon Musk, it's at a presidential inauguration. I mean, this is for the world to see, doing full-on Nazi salutes. This is not a stretch. And again, so the NFL has decided on 119, which is a very significant code to Nazi history, which goes back to Babylon. So the forces you see in power now actually originated in Babylon. So the same forces still exist. They communicate through code. The same codes, they're using the same numbers, same MO. It's the same force. that existed in Babylon. And what was the goal of Babylon? It's to take over the whole world, but of course they had no concept of the entire world. Yeah, it's the is it the Colts? Oh yeah, it's the Colts. Yeah, Falcons and Colts. There you go. Does it say it's Berlin? I think it's either Berlin or Munich. I think it's Berlin.
Yeah, which one is it, Kodi? I think you're still muted.
Oh, Berlin. There you go. And who built the Olympia Stadion? That was built by Adolf Hitler. He commissioned the building of the Olympic Stadium. Wow. And of course, we talked about this also. This is related to time travel. So Doc Brown, according to Back to the Future canon, he's actually a von Braun. So the von Brauns, and we know who that's a reference to. That's a reference to Werner von Braun, who started NASA. He's a Nazi rocket scientist. According to Back to the Future, they've decided that Doc Brown is actually a descendant of the von Brauns, and then they anglicized his name to Brown. Also think of Adolf Hitler's allegedly lover or partner, Eva Braun. All that Nazi symbolism is in Back to the Future as well. And so I've alluded to the work of Joseph P. Farrell, Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, who's multiple people have talked about the German time or dimensional travel machine project. It's called the Brotherhood of the Bell is what they were called. It's called the Bell Project because their multi-dimensional machine was shaped like a bell. Back to the Future actually does pay homage to the German Bell Project, which in part was also a time travel project as well as a teleportation type project. It's a real Joseph P. Farrell does the best work on it because he has a doctorate and he knows about many people have done work on it, but his is the best because he's scholarly. He does it from an academic background. He got a doctorate from Oxford University. So but in Back to the Future, they actually have Marty and Doc. I got this from Julia when we did the Occult Rejects. She pointed out that Doc Brown and Marty McFly were standing next to this big bell, this huge bell in Back to the Future. I think that was in the third part. Well, that's an allusion to the Nazi Bell Project because Doc Brown is a von Braun and bells are a symbol. Well, outside the Olympia Stadion, you can, if you want, you can look at Olympia Stadion bell in Berlin, where you'll see the Colts on 119, the Nazi code, play the Falcons, is a big bell. Bell.
I cannot believe it though
statue.
That I typed in this stadium and it equals Daniel Jones. Like, absolutely blew my mind. Like I was just telling you guys about that, and then I type, and this is not like, again, I don't think people understand how crazy it is to get a match in this cipher. This is not something you're just gonna type in. It's gonna be like a 22 or a 58 or whatever in the normal ciphers. Daniel Jones literally equals the stadium, man. That is, and think about this. Daniel Jones, Harrison Ford. What is the main theme of Indiana Jones? Nazis.
Yep.
The whole movies about Indiana Jones is the Nazis. Him against the Nazis.
You know what I just noticed
now,
too, really quick, when we talk about Donnie Darko, don't forget about the numbers that he wrote on his arm when he woke up from the golf course.
Yeah.
Right, representing the days and everything, but the 864 is in that number alignment. 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. So you have the 2864. That's right in there. So I just want to throw.
Oh yeah, it's a great observation.
You guys remember how I was talking about the 286 the night that we found that guy that got elbowed in the face from Detroit?
Yes.
Guess what? Okay, so do you remember how I was talking about the 286, and that was 286 days after that guy's event or whatever? And then,
oh my God, now we just shifted over one.
No, but get this. And then a few days later, Charlie Kirk got assassinated, right? What do you think the gematria? Look at this. This blew my mind. Hold on. I just can't type sometimes.
Oh, there you go.
Like
Wow.
that was the number that led us originally to that fine with Donnie Darko. And then all of this Charlie Kirk thing happened. And this was the number. This is the basic gematria of that. So yeah, like, and then remember it was LeBron James who elbowed number 6, or no, was it 6? No, the guy was wearing 28 who got elbowed.
Right.
And then LeBron was wearing number 6.
LeBron was wearing number 6. Yep.
Yeah, and this is the gematria of "the king is dead, long live the king" in both French and English in that same cipher, and that's why I brought that up, because I was talking about the king stuff, and then that's why I was talking about that number, and then it led us to this guy, this basketball player, in LeBron James, and then it led me to talking about what I thought was going to happen. I even said it in the video. Everyone can go back and watch it, or no. They can't go back and watch it because I think we were all off air at that time. But I said, I think I did say it on air actually, that I had found a connection to like a few days later around the 11th. Well, then this thing ended up happening with Charlie Kirk on the 10th, right? So yeah, I just thought it was crazy that number actually manifested in the Charlie Kirk thing. But yeah, what did you say was outside the stadium, Rambo?
A sculpture of a bell. Just put a bell sculpture, or bell sculpture, or it's just bell. Yeah, just bell. Yeah. Again, and that's it. Outside the stadium, it was there. It was first put there by the Nazi regime, because Adolf Hitler actually commissioned the building of Olympia Stadion, and it's still there.
I got to step out for like 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, so that's crazy. You know, like we were just talking about Daniel Jones, which connects to Harrison Ford, which connects to Ford again, Harrison Ford playing as the Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was all about the Nazis, and now the Colts are and Rambo, they're calling Daniel Jones Indiana Jones. They're not even hiding it. They're calling him Indiana Jones. That's his nickname now. So
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And then Harrison Ford, again, how Ford is connected. That Ford Nazi connection is very important. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how it all ties in. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. This Colts, after listening to your decode, this Colts looks certainly fits in.
Did you see the date that this is on too, though? You saw that it was on the 9th, right? Of November 9th.
Yeah, that's a Nazi code. The 9th of November.
Yeah,
it's the 9th, the 9th of November.
Yeah, because you were talking about that date, and I was hoping that you saw that date too. That's why I was just asking you, because I knew what you meant, because that's the date you were just talking about with the Kristallnacht, right? So
it's not just Kristallnacht. It's in 1923, the Nazi Party attempted a coup of the German government. Now, how a political party can attempt a coup and still be allowed to exist and come into power? Like, once you've done that, you think the power that party should be dissolved. But again, I guess this is the way it is. I guess there's bigger powers behind the Nazi Party. I mean, they should have been dissolved right after that. There's no way they should have been allowed back into German politics. You attempted a violent, forced takeover of the German government. It was in Munich. It was called the Beer Hall Push. And it was in 1923, and it was on the 9th day of the 11th month. They chose that number because of the power of that number. It was the 9th of November. It could be November 9th, 9/11, 11/9. That was the first time they used it. Then it was Kristallnacht, which is considered the kickoff to the Holocaust, more or less, where they went through the Jewish neighborhoods and they smashed. Kristall means glass, the night of broken glass. And they chose the 9th day of the 11th month again, which is why it's alarming when the Berlin Wall falls and the Nazis are supposed to be in the dustbin of history. Why is the Berlin Wall falling on the 9th day of the 11th month? It's a code from the people who had behind the scenes power. Like, if you think about the unification of Germany, that's after the Cold War ended. It was very unique because in all the other former Soviet countries, part of the Soviet system, countries were breaking up. Like you were in Serbia, or Serbia used to be part of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia broke up. Yeah, Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro, all these countries broke up. There's only one which did the opposite. That was East Germany. They were all doing the opposite. East Germany they joined Germany, which that's pretty unique after the Cold War. They did the opposite of what everybody else did. So 11119 was a clue to that. So yeah, so with all this going on specifically, I mean, I mentioned this just so if anyone may think, oh, it's a stretch. Nazis, hard to believe. Elon Musk did a full-on Nazi salute at Donald Trump's inauguration. And this is more Nazi coding. On the 9th day of the 11th month, there's a game at Hitler's Olympia Stadium. And that bell is a huge symbol too. We talk about Back to the Future. That bell is a big part of it. It's part of the Bell Project, a real time travel project. It actually is a real, authentic time travel project by the Nazis. And they say that project moved to Argentina after World War II. The Bell Project. Isn't it interesting that the Argentine Pope dies at age 88? Yep.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you, brother.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's just interesting how all these movies are connected, and now it led us back to this Nazi theme because, again, the Indiana Jones connection with that. But
and don't forget too, right? Well, what's Indiana Jones's like Achilles heel?
Snakes.
Snakes, right?
How about that?
As we're leaving the year of the snake, moving into the year of the fire horse. So,
and the story of the Chinese zodiac is very the snake and the horse. The snake scares the horse, which allows the snake to become first. Right. So the horse comes after the snake in the zodiac because the snake scares the horse. So think about that symbolism, like Daniel Jones playing for the horse. And he's in the year of the snake right now, and he'll be going into the year of the horse.
Right.
So, wow, it just keeps coming together even more. And Rambo, what you mentioned about the coup in 1923, well, that's also the year that the Brown Lunation started. Remember I mentioned that the guy, Ernest Brown, he started the Brown Lunation on January 17th, 1923. That was the first Brown Lunation. So it ended up being that that coup was on Lunation 11. It was on the new moon. It was on the new moon in Lunation 11 on 11/9. And of course, the first one was on the new moon, the first new moon, which was Lunation 1, which was the first one ever. So that's really crazy too, because it was on a new moon, exactly 10 new moons after the first ever lunation. So the first ever counted lunation, I guess you could say. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, that's a great find.
And I think, yeah, see, it's exactly 10 moon phases, 10 new moons. Trying to think what I was going to say about that, but yeah, I think that's the main point. The 296 I've seen before, but I can't think of what that is now. I just kind of want to see how many years this game will be then after. – 102 years, okay. So that game will be on the 102nd anniversary. And well, that's interesting because Indianapolis does equal 201, the reverse of 102. Indianapolis does equal 60 as well. We're Super Bowl 60.
Well, it is related to 9/11 because they said it took 100. The whole thing took place over 102 minutes for the September 11th. So that's a big September 11th connection.
So when
The
was
one with
Crystal knocked again? When was what year that was that again?
I was it 1943? I have to look it up.
I'll
Crystal
just
knock.
Crystal.
Oh, 1938.
Oh, so so again, 1938 was, oh wow. So look at that, Rambo. We're putting pieces together. So the first, what we just said, the coup was in the first year of the Brown lunation, was created by Ernest Brown, and then this Kristallnacht on the same day was in the year that guy died. He died in 1938. That was the guy Ernest Brown, who created the lunation numbers, which started in 1923. He died in 1938, which was the year that, remember, I showed you he died on 7/22/1938, which was exactly 3 months before Doc Brown was born, Christopher Lloyd. So there's your connection between Christopher Lloyd and Doc Brown too, because that's the same. That was the year he was born.
Yeah, and he's von Braun. He's a von Braun, according to Back to the Future. He's a von Braun. He's a German.
And so that would mean that if we just go, so it'll be 87. So yeah, that it'll be the start. This game in Indianapolis versus Atlanta will be 87 years later, which also is interesting because that's the start of the 88th year. So 88 miles an hour, because Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd, he will turn 87 coming up here on October 22nd. That's also when the I haven't checked in a while, but I wonder if that Lost to the Future thing is still up.
Oh yeah, I need to.
The Lost.
I need to look at the updates on that one.
Lost to the Future. Yeah, it's still going, I guess. So
yeah, I don't know where they're going with this.
It ends on in his birthday. They put the timer in to end on Doc Brown, on Christopher Lloyd's birthday, on the first day of his 88th year of life, essentially. So,
and another thing to look out for, you guys, Erica Kirk's Instagram is sitting on 665 posts.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the next one's going to be big then.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We're on the doorstep of his birthday, right? So I don't know. Does she wait until his birthday for that 666 posts? That would be crazy, especially with a lot of the 666 stuff aligned up with Charlie Kirk's death. But yeah, I've been watching for the last several days. I know a handful of us have.
I got to bring this up too.
Oh yeah. This because this is what you and Casey Jones.
Yeah, this is looking pretty wild. This whole connection, the United States. So I don't know if you guys saw my video about how perfect the age of the United States was on the Charlie Kirk thing. Did you see that, Rambo? That video?
No, I don't think I'm familiar with that.
So I did a video this week showing the age of the United States in days on the Charlie Kirk shooting. And the United States was exactly 91,013 days old. 91013, right? And let me just pull up my slides real fast. It's not even going to take long. It's easier to show it. 1 second, guys. So the point is that somebody had pointed me on to the concept that the age of the United States on the day of the shooting was like, it was perfect, right? So You remember how Erica Kirk made, also, Rambo, I don't know if you saw this too, but the comment that she left on that post, on that music video, it was left on September 10th. The comment where she says, "Me and Tyler had a blast shooting this video."
Yeah.
We found out later that it was left on September 10th, exactly 13 years before her husband would supposedly die on September 10th. And the reason they did that 13 years is because the United States started out as 13 colonies. And this was a whole riddle to go with the United Nations and the United Colonies. So on the day before the shooting, the United States was 9/1 or 9/10/12 days old, like the date 9/10/12. That's the date she made the comment, 9/10 of 2012. That's how old the United States was the day before the Kirk shooting. And the day before the Kirk shooting was the day the United States was named the United States of America from the United Colonies. And so the next day, here's the evidence. She posted it on September 10th, 12th, so 9/10/12. And then, so that's the day she posted it. And then the day before, that's how old the United States was. And then 13 years after she posted it on 9/10, the United States was 9/10/13 days old. Like she posted it on 9/10, and 13 years later, he was shot. And that's the 13 colonies. And then this is the kicker, is that on the memorial, on the memorial for Charlie Kirk, the United States was 9/10/25 days old, which was the day he was shot. So they put the memorial on that day for 100% specific reason, so that the United States was going to be the age of the coded into the date that he was shot. I mean, that's just remarkable again. And how the fact that it was coded, and the 9/1/13, right? Because 91 is the 13th triangular. So the age of the United States on this day was 9/1/13, which is both those numbers connect to the 13. But it was 13 years after her post and on her music video, exactly, and exactly 13 days before Trump was at the United Nations. And then the United Nations equals United Colonies. So they did this whole riddle to connect to the original 13 colonies, with both her post being 13 years before and Trump being at the United Nations 13 days later. But then that led us to, people had pointed out this. So now if we measure to December 7th this year, look how old the United States is going to be. The exact date of 9/11/01. On Pearl Harbor Day. And 9/11 was called the new Pearl Harbor.
Right. And Kodi, you know what just really hit me with all this too? Pun intended, I guess, talking about 9/11. I'm pretty sure it was you and I that did that stream, Love Reign Over Me. Remember where we talked about the movie Reign Over Me with Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle?
Yeah.
About 9/11. Well, don't forget that Adam Sandler's character in that movie, his name is Charlie. Right. And I bring really? All of that up because September 9th is Adam Sandler's birthday.
Oh, right? Yeah, snap. I totally forgot that, man.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the Adam Sandler themes quite a bit. And now that you point this particular part out with all the patriotism and the 9/11 themes, I mean, that fits right in with all of this, especially because the character's name is Charlie. We talked about this before the Charlie Kirk thing happened. You know? Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I didn't want to get you off.
That's just crazy because it just shows how everything we've been talking about has come back around. We talked about Adam Sandler so many times. And
there's even a shooting scene in that movie. Rain or Me. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, like I'm just pointing this out because they clearly coded the age to me, it shows that's clearly using the age of the United States. Again, what's the chance that Kirk's memorial was on 9/10/25, which was his death date? And then this coming up makes me think, oh, they're definitely using it. So I mean, I'm not saying the world's going to end this day or there's going to be another 9/11 on this day, but I mean, definitely I would say this is on a Sunday too. So this is going to be football Sunday. So that's something to look for as well with all this. And just an addition, Trump will be it will be his Mercury birthday this day, which is even more profound that this day falls on Trump's Mercury birthday. It falls on his 330th Mercury birthday. So 33 essentially. And it's exactly 33 weeks after Pope Francis died. And remember, Charlie Kirk, just to make sure that you guys understand that the Mercury birthdays are important, on Trump's 329th Mercury birthday, Charlie Kirk was shot on his exact Mercury birthday. So that means exactly 88 days after Kirk was shot is this date, 9/11/01, after the founding of the United States. So there's actually even more connections. A few days before that, Joe Biden will turn 30,330 days old. And Joe Biden's text number was literally that exact same date. So Joe Biden is going to turn his text number a few days before this. And again, thanks to Casey Jones for bringing this up because, well, I think actually Dr. Savage was talking about this first, and then Casey Jones brought it up to me. And Sean from Widow's Son, he actually said he's been looking at this date for a while because of that as well. So it'll be on the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And it's 84 days after Leo's birthday, and Pope Leo equals 84. So there's a huge thing with Pope Leo there on the 84 on this day as well. So that's something I might do a standalone video about just in general for people to see, but I wanted to bring that up to you guys in case you guys see something. There's going to be football games that day, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a great find.
We are coming up just on that 2-hour mark. I guess I'll kind of at least wrap up my piece with just a couple of slides that I had to share with you folks really quick. Pull this up here. I mean, we've already talked a bit about the Donnie Darko themes today, but sure enough, Kodi, I sent this over to you this morning when TMZ posted this quote from Donald Trump saying, "I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is," regarding Bad Bunny when he was being asked about his thoughts about him performing at the Super Bowl. So how perfect. And don't forget too that we've touched on this quite a bit as well. And we touched on this before everything happened with Charlie Kirk. But James Duvall, he's the actor who plays Frank the Bunny in Donnie Darko. His birthday is the same date as Charlie Kirk's reported death. But notice that when this news came out about Donnie Darko Trump, talking about Bad Bunny, it was exactly 28 days from Frank the Rabbit's birthday. And 28 days is huge because that's how many days are remaining until the world is supposed to end, essentially, with regards to the movie. So I thought that was pretty fitting. We already talked about Trevor Lawrence scoring 2 touchdowns last night on his 26th birthday, picking up his 26th all-time win as a starter. But the other one I thought was interesting was TMZ Sports talking about this second decision commercial that came out with Hennessy and LeBron James. They called it the second decision. It's essentially a spinoff of his first decision that came out on ESPN. It was a 30-minute episode dedicated to where LeBron was going to go next when he left Cleveland. But don't forget, you guys, that today the date of this commercial being released is the date written 10/7, right? Just like how Hennessy in reverse equals 10/7. But another big one, we've talked about those 666s for a while. But on the top right here, this is just a screenshot of what the original The Decision looked like back in the day. And take a look in the Sumerian ciphers. The Decision, basketball game, and the NBA Finals all equal 666. And shout out to Widow's Son, Sean Desad, for reminding me about this. Him and I specifically had talked about this particular Bible verse years ago. And I say that because the basketball fan in me remembers this day quite clearly when LeBron says, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach" when he leaves Cleveland. And sure enough, LeBron James equals 114. And in numerology, 1014 can be reduced down to 114 because the 0 doesn't hold any weight. But look at that, you guys. Kings chapter 10, verse 14. The weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents. So how perfect was it for him to say, "I'm going to take my talents to South Beach" on the show called The Decision, which equals 666 in Sumerian, just like basketball game and the NBA Finals. And then for a little more numbers for you guys, I just thought this was really interesting. Shout out to Numbers ABC123 on Instagram for giving me a kickstart on some of this. But there's an interesting 281 theme that went down today with this particular commercial. Notice that the release date of this commercial today has been a span of 1,823 days since LeBron won his last championship, and that was with the Lakers, right? On October 11th, 2020, also known as Father-Daughter Day, the same year that Kobe and his daughter died, right? But look at that. 1,823 is the 281st prime number, sharing the same value as LeBron Raymond James in reverse. And for one other 281, notice how when you measure from today or tonight's commercial that debuted back to the reported death of Kobe in 2020, that's a span of 2,081 days for another 281, right? Lining right back up with LeBron's full name. So thank you guys for listening. That's all I really wanted to share with you guys. This is the latest from today. So
yeah, thanks. And also a quick reminder: LeBron James owns 3% at least of Liverpool Football Club, so he's connected to Liverpool.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Didn't he have some sort of ownership with the Red Sox or something? I know they're out of the playoffs, but
the owners of the Red Sox are his manager, or LeBron James' managers.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, and they also own Liverpool Football Club.
Yep. Kodi, you were going to say something?
I don't know. Somebody said in the chat, LeBron means hair. I don't know if that's true. I looked it up. It says LeBron means means the brown-haired one, which is interesting. You know, a hare, like a rabbit-haired one, the brown-haired, brown lunation again. Yeah, this brown theme is really leaning itself to be a huge theme with the moon. I forgot that the guy that created that lunation was named Brown. I think that's what it all goes back to. It's probably why the Browns are named the Browns, to be honest.
Well, I know Rambo's talked a bit about the Cleveland Browns, and it just makes me think about DeCarlo Brown, right, who was the suspect in the Charlotte stabbing story. And then you think of Charlie Kirk, Charlie Brown, you know. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to one, yeah. Jim Brown, right? There has been a lot of Browns in the news over the last, I would say, at least a year. Seems to be ramping up again.
So as far as the Bad Bunny symbolism, we talked, I mean, directly, you know, Frank the Rabbit and the bunny theme. Alice in Wonderland, which I talked about because of the time theme. And I've been talking about Alice in Wonderland. And clearly Alice in Wonderland was coded into the NFL yesterday, which was the Mad Hatter Day, which is because he has 1006 on his hat. It was 10/6, and of course they scheduled a quarterback whose birthday is 10/6 for that day. That was the Mad Hatter, homage to the Mad Hatter, clearly. And of course the halftime score, which I did predict they're going to pay homage somehow with the score, and they did with 147 at halftime. That's the gematria of, in the simplest cipher, Lewis Carroll. So there are two rabbits. So again, and it's the 106th NFL season. There are two rabbits in Alice in Wonderland. One is the white rabbit. That's the one who has the clock, the pocket watch, who's late, who actually Alice follows, whose rabbit hole Alice actually falls into. That was the white rabbit. But there's another rabbit, and I think Bad Bunny represents the other rabbit. The other rabbit is a companion of the Mad Hatter. And that rabbit is called the March Hare. The white rabbit is white. The March Hare is brown. And he's called the March Rabbit, and Bad Bunny was born in March. So Bad Bunny is the March Rabbit. He's not the White Rabbit. He's the the March Hare is who he is. Yes, some of the symbolism that I've noticed. There's more Alice in Wonderland symbolism, but yeah, just to be clear, there are two rabbits in Alice in Wonderland. Bad Bunny is the March Hare.
I also gave your screen back too, if there was anything else you wanted to share. Or Kodi, I see you got something here.
Oh no, this is me. I guess. Oh yeah, so this is my screen.
I do.
Sorry, Kodi.
I do
would
have
you like
just
me to
something I
pass it
want to
back
show
to you really
Rambo,
quick?
considering he's talking about this, because I was looking into this.
Here we go.
I didn't even know Rambo was talking about Alice in Wonderland, but this came out years ago, and I've always thought about it because The Economist magazine, they also released that Phoenix with the money on it, but this was a financial magazine, of course, but it says Down the Rabbit Hole, the Promise and Perils of Decentralized Finance. And as you can see, it has all the money jumping down a rabbit hole, and you see the snake. So there's the snake, like the snake here. And again, this was not released in the snake year. This was released in the year of the tiger, maybe, or I don't remember what year this. Maybe it was even released in the year of the rabbit. It was 2021, I think. So whatever that was. But yeah, you literally have this symbolism, the rabbit and the snake right here, and the rabbit hole with the money falling. So that's why I think here's. I hadn't even talked about money yet. You guys know I always have at least one comment about that, but here's the money connection here. What I also found interesting is you have like the cryptocurrencies here, and you have like the stock market here, but you have one cryptocurrency or something is already fallen down the hole, and we can't see what it is. So I don't know what that means, but you can see the snake is like literally there watching it, almost like it's telling us the year of the snake. And again, this was not made in the snake year. It was made many years before. So this seems to be pointing us to this year of the snake. And then the rabbit here, as we've gotten all this rabbit symbolism. I don't know. Do you see anything there, Rambo, that stands out to you?
Yeah, but snake symbolism is it's pretty prevalent. I was talking about the Mithras symbol, where Mithras is stabbing the bull in the neck, and how that ties into all these neck injuries and the sun cycle. Well, in that same image, there's a snake as well, and biting the bull. So it's funny how you always, and a snake is a cycle symbol as well. The Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail. The snake is, it's a cycle symbol too. Yeah, Superman come out this year. The S in Superman, like snake. It also can be a symbol of on the caduceus of Mercury. So Mercury rules many realms, one of which is finance, which is why merchant has MERC, merchant, and commerce, MERC. Mercury also is said to rule the realm of finance as well. And the snake is a symbol of Mercury as well. Mercury has the caduceus, which is two snakes intertwined around a pole. So the snake symbol there ties into finance through Mercury. And yeah, and also, yeah. So yeah, that's how I'd see the snake has so much symbolism. Like, yeah, I have to think more about this symbol. Yeah, it's very mercurial.
I'm just saying this seems like it was pointing to this time we're in now, you know. And if you go, it was released on September 18th, 2021. So
because there's also a rabbit. You know, there's the year of the rabbit, there's the year of the snake. There's both a rabbit and a snake.
Yeah. But what was the year? I can't remember. Year of the rabbit. 2022, was it? Or was that the tiger?
I think 2023 was the rabbit.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if there's any, just to go to Charlie Kirk's. I don't know. There might be. I'll have to look into it. But every time I think about this, this rabbit, this Alice in Wonderland thing, I keep remembering this Economist magazine post. because it was just clearly an Alice in Wonderland tribute. And then I just realized that there was the snake there the other day. I was like, oh, well, there's a snake there, so there must be something. Somebody said that the Ethereum, that's the cryptocurrency jumping down the hole. So, again, I don't know what this means with what is already in the hole there. What went first, they don't tell you. But
the thing is, the dollar is jumping in just along with all the crypto as well. Like they're all jumping.
Well,
in.
yeah. Well, if you look at the markets right now, gold is absolutely destroying everything. Gold is like so like overbought, but if you look at a chart, like an actual chart, and you know how to read them, you see the gold is like super, like, man, it's been absolutely on fire. Silver is just now catching up. Did you guys know that silver, which is the 47th element, it hit $47 an ounce 47 weeks after Trump was elected? 47. just another clear ritual. And at that same time, one of the stock markets, I can't remember if it was the Dow Jones or one of the other ones, was at 47,000 at the same time. So you had one of the stock markets was at 47,000, and then silver was at 47 weeks after Trump was elected. 47. So if you guys don't think you can predict the markets, go ahead.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I was going to say I would be curious when that happened, how it lined up with. I don't know if it's an official thing, but I do recall in the news months ago that Trump or the House was working to pass something about eliminating the penny. I don't know if you guys heard about this, or if it was passed, but I know there was a push for it to essentially eliminate making of the penny moving forward. So that would be interesting, just thinking about silver, gold, copper, currency. There could have been something lined up with that, but I wouldn't know. But yeah, like I said, I mean, we are over that 2-hour mark. I could still go a little bit longer. It's really up to you guys. I don't want to, push it past anyone's bedtime.
If you guys have something else, I can go. But if not, I'm ready to wrap it up whenever you guys are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think typically when people see long videos, it kind of discourages them, to be honest.
Sure.
Like if you see a 3-hour video, 4-hour video, you really want to watch it. If you see a 20-minute video, yeah, you want to watch that. Like
sure.
The shorter it is, and plus it's information on top of information, they'll probably forget the information that started. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we did cover a lot of ground tonight, obviously. So it's my favorite night of the week for a reason. So, I mean, I'll just close out by thanking everybody in the chat. Gematry8, Coffee Girl, thank you guys so much for all the love. Bones Jones, good to see you. Brandon Joseph. Sig says, hey, I don't mind long videos. Elizabeth says, I like long videos. Maybe they, use them as a podcast for a drive or something. But yeah, just really appreciate all of you guys very much. That's true.
Some people don't have, and nowadays no one has any long attention span. I do. Because how do you think I do all this research? I have to have an attention span I can sit and watch something. The problem is I don't have enough time in a day to do it, but I can sit and watch a whole video easily. That's
right.
So I'm glad that at least some people can still have an attention span.
Well, especially because it's a lot of content. It's a lot to go over for sure. We just live in that TikTok world now, where people are just used to 30-second videos at most. Swipe, next one. But
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's all I had. I just want to thank the chat once again. All of our links and everything are in the description of the video. So as always, we really appreciate the love and support. It doesn't cost a thing to hit that like or the subscribe. We really appreciate the growth that we've seen. So thank you all. But Kodi, anything else before Rambo takes us home?
Nope, that's pretty much it. I just want to thank everyone like you, and I appreciate this whole community, and every day I have people show up to watch me. That's a blessing in itself, and I appreciate everyone here, including the guy that keeps coming in with a different account trolling me today. I don't know what. I guess because my channel hit 15, and I want to thank everyone for the 15K subs also, by the way. I mean, I never thought I'd even get there, but wow. So thank you guys so much. But I got one troll, I guess, one guy that keeps coming in under a different name. Now it's in here under Jokey. But yeah, much love to you too, whoever you are. I don't know who you are or what I did to you, but much love to you as well. And thank you for being here. So
yeah, I echo what Kodi said. Thanks for the audience, the chat. Thank you, AJ, for putting this together again. Thank you, Kodi, for being here and sharing your great finds. And again, where I can be reached, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. I should have the full video up in a couple days. We have the trailer. I think I'll release a little excerpt first because editing 35 minutes takes a long time. So I think I'll release a little excerpt. Yeah, you're welcome, Elizabeth. And again, I'm also on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes. Thanks to everybody again.
Yeah, beautiful. We will wrap it up there, you guys. Always so much to cover, even just 1 week apart. I feel like the weeks are just going faster and faster. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I blink and I'm like, there's so much to cover before I see you guys again. So yeah, thanks again as always. Always a blessing to have you guys in my corner, as well as the over 200 plus people, at least from what I saw on our end, that were consistently watching tonight. So we love and appreciate you all. Coffee Girl, thank you so much. And we will see you guys again on the next one. Peace.
See you, everyone.